First conference. So I was, they know exactly where to go. We set off the rugby during the day and it'll be good afternoon. Welcome to the August 30th. Hard to believe it's August 30th already. Just goodness gracious. Meeting of the Rotary Club of Beavercreek. I'd like to thank our greeters, Vivian Jarvie and David Brandenburg, our ticket master. Where did we get these gone? So Eric Marcus, Beth Handworker for all she does. And Pete Bales, Mark Weinstein, Mike Zwick for the great programs, and Jim Gundel for the website. Danny, if you're available, come forward with the invitation. Well, good afternoon. Would you join me in prayer? Lord of the universe, you have given us the most of mankind, a strong desire to do good, to be honest, and to serve others, and to faithfully fulfill their obligations to their neighbors. Help us as Rotarians to do good. Help us Rotarians to be honest and ethical in all of our dealings. Help us as Rotarians to serve others. And help us as Rotarians to faithfully fulfill the obligations of our neighbors, our community, our nation, and the world. Amen. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're at 49%. Shannon, you're about yes?
I got Abby here with me today.
Yeah, man. You guys, surely we get one more. We fit outside.
9.9.
All right. Mr. Hadley. Oh, we need at least one.
Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
That wouldn't be the first time I didn't receive an applause for coming up to speak. All right, good afternoon, fellow Rotarians, residents, guests, and our incredible speaker, also known as the 243rd day of the year, which leaves us only 123 days left. Or if you want to feel a little more optimistic, about 2,950 hours are left in the year. As far as birthdays, coming up on the 3rd, we have our very own Fire Marshal Randy celebrating birthday along with Jack Henderson. And then on this 6th, we have a Mike and Mike birthday special. Mike and Mike Hadley both celebrating their birthdays. No partner birthdays. We do have a member anniversary coming up on the 2nd. Mr. Dave Guzak will be celebrating 13 years with us. And then wedding anniversaries, Amanda Hayes will be celebrating 26 years of marriage, which I don't know if that's a typo or not, because that's a long time. And I feel like she would have been in junior high if they got married 26 years ago, but she's not here to confirm or deny. All right, some good things that have happened this day in history, going all the way back to 1836. Two businessmen who are also brothers bought about 8,850 acres of swampland down there in Texas. That area of land is now known as Houston. In 1918, Ted Williams, perhaps the greatest baseball hitter of all time, was born. And now I know there's probably some millennials here saying, how is he better than Barry Bonds, Jr., Joey Votto? So besides having an on-base percentage, career on-base percentage of 482, highest ever, no one since 1941 has had a batting average over 400, which he had. But most notably, he missed 5 years of his prime because he chose to go serve in World War II and the Korean War as a bomber pilot. And then when he returned back to baseball at the age of 39, that season and next season, he won the batting championship for the 5th and 6th time in his career. Also today in 1930, the Oracle from Omaha, Warren Buffett, was born. Now, while he's known for being quite the inventor, he's also known for being a huge giver. As in lifetime, he has donated 37 billion, that's with a B, to charities, and that's just in the last 14 years. Out of that, in June, he donated 4.1 billion. He also had opened the Giving Pledge, where he and other wealthy people promised to give away all of their wealth before they die. So, Pete, if you can get him as a guest, to bankruptcy for our club.
Deal.
All right. 1963, a communication hotline between us and the Soviet leaders went into operation. That sounds a little sketchy. 1992, Michael Schumacher began his reign of excellence after taking first place in this doesn't say which race, but that was one of 91 first races that he had in his career. Some other news that came out this week: Beavercreek High School Athletic Hall of Fame inductees were announced from class of 2014: Pauline Pies, Arius Moore, Henrik Holman. Class of 96 has Erica Stankowski, and class of 2000 has Ted Williams being inducted. Tonight at 5:30 at the auditorium at the high school, there will be a ceremony for those athletes, and also a special recognition at the halftime of tonight's football game. Also on top of that, Beavercreek's middle school cross country teams both teams, men and women, placed first meet this week. Also, if you are looking for a reason to get an in-ground pool built, a family over in Germany dug up nearly 1,500 coins dating back to the 14th century. I didn't say how much those coins are worth today, but they did say back then that would have bought about 150 sheep. So whatever that conversion rate is, it's about how much they'll work now. Also, last night, the city of Beavercreek had the first town hall at the iconic main elementary. If you weren't able to make that one, be sure to mark down your calendars September 25th from 6 to 8 over at the Beavercreek Center. Second and final one of those. We also had some Rotarians this week volunteer at One Bistro over in Virginia for everybody to eat. If you've not been to One Bistro, definitely do so. The food is phenomenal, and the story behind the facility and how the food's prepared is even more phenomenal. And then we also had another Rotarian / state rep announce some big news this week, but I'll save that for him to announce during Happy Butts. Some other things to celebrate if we're looking to celebrate today. Today is National Day, obviously go Hokies. It's also National Slinky Day. Tomorrow is World Stop Sign Day and Love Litigating Lawyers Day. Let's see, Sunday we'll be moving into a new month. So some fun facts about September. September is the only month with the same number of letters in its name as its numerical place on the calendar. So if that ever comes up in trivia, you're welcome. September is also Hunger Action Month. In case you missed it, our friend Michelle Riley of the Food Bank had the Greene County mass food distribution over at Rice State this week, where they serve almost 1,300 families. We are also getting ready to get into self-improvement month, read a new book month, and library card sign-up month. And with that, correct me if I'm wrong, those cards are still free, right?
They are.
And then we also yesterday started the Literacy and Numeracy Week. This one has to be either fake or a typo. September is National Happy Cat Month, which I don't know if that's a date. We also have National Mortgage Professional Month, Save Your Photos Month, and then also I believe our speaker from last week will be celebrating this. It is National Child Protection Week starting on the 1st. And then another week, our celebratory week that starts on the 1st, which I will put a shameless plug for Blacks for Heroes, is Legacy Week. Moving up to Sunday, as far as individual days, this one, National Chicken Boy Day. So I'm sure everyone's wondering, what is Chicken Boy? So in the 60s, over in California along Route 66, a 22-foot statue with a man body and a chicken head was formed out of fiberglass and stood there for quite some time. Once the restaurant closed down, they took it down, but it still remains an iconic statue nonetheless. It's got a day named after it, which kind of makes me wonder if we could get a giant 22-foot beaver statue here in Beavercreek instead of maybe another giant gas station. Also, this just in on Monday, Beavercreek City Council passed a 3-month timeout on review or approval of applications or permits for any new vehicle service stations, vehicle wash stations, restaurants, grocery stores, self-storage, warehouses, carry-out, and convenience stores within the city. Especially put a temporary hold on all those gas stations that seem to pop up in every city across the nation. Moving on to Monday, it's obviously Labor Day, also National VJ Day. Brandon, it's not here to point out all the fun facts. That is National Hummingbird Day. It is also Bison 10 Yell Day. This is to prove that you can just give up anything to be a quote unquote day. This whimsical holiday is celebrated for its clever wordplay on the word bicentennial. The day honors now will be the 200th birthday of an imaginary figure said to have been created to give 10 verbal signals in the use of battles, which then found their way on the football games as hand signals used by the players out there on the field. This holiday is encouraged to everyone to enjoy the lighter side of life, making noise and appreciating clever puns that bring a smile to our faces. So, Dom, this sounds like it's going to be your day to shine with all your jokes and puns. Tuesday, we got U.S. Bowling League Day. Wednesday, Global Talent Acquisition Day, Indigenous Literacy Day, and also National Newspaper Carrier Day. Fun fact about that, obviously labor laws were a little lenient back in 1833, but that is when the first paperboy was hired to sell papers. Barney Flattery was his name, and he was 10 years old when he was hired. And then Thursday, we have International Day of Charity and also National Cheese Pizza Day. And this last one, I think we know somebody that celebrates this every day. It's Be Late for Something Day. Things to do this week, as I mentioned, we have the celebrations down there at the high school happening. We also have the football games. That is going to be the Boys Hall of Fame game, start at 7 p.m. Also, if you're going to the game, be sure to check out the Citizens for a Better Beavercreek's Facebook page. They are doing a canned good drive with Feed the Creek, and they have a list of all canned goods and other food items that they are in need of for donation. Today also kicks off a 3-game series of the Dragons playing West Michigan Whitecaps tonight, tomorrow at 7, Sunday at 1. This might be a little foreshadowing, maybe another shameless plug, but Miami Valley CTC Aspire program will be at the Dayton Metro Library Monday from 10 to 1:30. And then our friends at the Chamber will be doing their local eats get together at Clean Eats on Thursday. So to kind of continue my tradition, I'm only going to be issuing out 2 fines on top of the standard if you're late, not wearing your badge, which I can see anybody late. So I appreciate you for letting us all know you're late. Luckily, this first one, Safety Chief is not here, so if you've ever ran a stop sign, that will be $1. Ooh. And if you've ever said a cuss word while bowling, that will be another. Fair enough.
Sure, I'm going to absolve you of your fine, because you put us over 50%, and that's what I was looking at. Thank you very much. Happy Bucks. Certainly, we've got to be happy. I mean, this is a beautifully hot day. We have to be happy about something. Very.
I have a happy one because tomorrow is a really special day. And I get to go to Columbus for a special meeting of 100,000 people to watch soon to be #1 Buckeyes.
Wow. Anyone else? Where do they play on? Catholic. Not a very happy Bucks. Come on, God, you said something. I had to take some time here because I need Chris to get all the stuff collected because he's introducing our speakers. So let's get more happy Bucks. I will say that we have all the things filled for Popcorn Festival. All our slots are full. Thank you very much for that. I'm really hoping that the weather that I've had this week does not carry over to that week. Amen. But it's going to be a miserable weekend if it is.
Wednesday and Thursday, I went to One Bistro and got to see the commissioners. And then yesterday, my wife and I, we went to One Bistro to see all the sheriffs. It was great to see the local law enforcement, elected officials, just giving back to the community.
Thank you. Or they are the big shots.
No, I'm really happy to look at. So Isaac has been saving his money for like 4 years now and searching the internet as best he can. Found him a little BMW 328 or whatever. It's his first car.
that's huge for him. You know, I'm proud of him that, you know, he didn't expect us to pay him, says you wanted to pay him himself, and if you see him out driving around town, get a wave.
And that first car is always important. You
Yeah,
always
that's.
remember what it was, remember it. Anyone else?
I'm done.
Take a try, please.
Who's on this one reading? Wait, for you to attend. And you're a person.
The number is 117-53. So everybody got that? 39.
That's.
And I figured it'd be like balance and joy. We're looking for the Queen of Hearts, and half the proceeds of this go to our Christmas basket program. And if the winner is a good Rotarian, and his half goes to the Christmas basket program too. So, Micros. Very good. Next up is our speaker. I'll ask Chris Hadley to come forward and introduce her.
It's like, all right, it's rushing here. So, I'm feeling which, something.
Not to rag on Brandon not being here again, but I feel like my step reliable some of good marathon loves. All right, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because today's guest is an absolute game changer when it comes to the world of education. For almost a decade, this legend has been out there shaping the lives as the Aspire coordinator at Miami Valley CTC. She first hit the scene back in 2013, back when the program was known as ABLE, which is an acronym for Adult Basic Literacy Education. She was the site coordinator and the English for Speakers of Other Languages coordinator for St. John's International School, where there she helped educate between 500 to about 750 students every year. Now, there was a brief moment where she stepped away, but like a boomerang, she came flying back in with even more energy and passion to the program. Danny's packing over 25 years of experience in education. Not to brag, but she's pretty much done it all, from teaching music to K-8 kids, running admissions and recruitment at a private college, design schools, and even some big-time 2-year, 4-year universities. So it's pretty much she is the Swiss Army knife of education. She is also a true BA with a BA from Illinois College and a master's in education administration from Eastern Illinois University. Danny sees Aspire as a lifeline, offering adults a second chance, like a ladder leading them to new heights with free education and training across the Miami Valley. When she is not working, Danny continues to lead by serving her second term of the City of Dayton's Welcome Dayton Committee, which, if you are like many looking to hire quality people who are not being bombarded by recruiters, definitely talk to her after today's meeting. She also channels her energy into leading group exercise classes, which, if you've never done a Zumba class and you're like me and you enjoy walking, do not do a Zumba class. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the incredible Danny Heater.
Thank you, Chris. Do I need a microphone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Kids think I was paid for a microphone, but thank you. So that's also the nicest bio ever. There were a lot of add-ons, but I really appreciate that. So again, my name is Danny Heater. It is my sincerest pleasure to be here. This program genuinely means the world to me. So I always include in a bio that it used to be called ABLE, Adult Basic Literacy Education, because I really feel like more than anything, that tells you exactly what we do. When they rebranded, when the state rebranded the program about 10 years ago, they named it Aspire, which is great, but it was a fun book for Aspire. There are many different program places called Aspire. So I think that helps to share that information. I usually say to people, you probably have seen us or heard of us, but you just don't know that it's us. And so, for example, and I'll give you a chance to read this. I think people often think of us as the folks that offer free GED classes. And we do. That is a large part of what we do. It's actually not the largest part of what our program does. So the big thing when I'm sharing what we do, where we are, who we are, I always mention Our program is free. It is for adults, and we're in Montgomery, Greene, and Preble counties. Our job is to transition students into the workforce or into post-secondary education. Or quite frankly, our job as instructors in the program or anybody that's working in our program is to make for sure that whatever that student's goal is, that we're helping them get there. So I was just in a meeting yesterday with Welcome Day, the education subcommittee, and they were saying that they've received a lot of retirees from outside of the country. So what we call new Americans, immigrants, refugees, whatever. And they said, we just don't know what to do with these folks. And I said, well, a few years ago when I was at St. John's, which St. John's, just in case if any of you have ever heard of it, but St. John's United Church of Christ for about 30 plus years has held what they called their international school, but that's always been our program there. So when I was coordinating that program, like Chris said, we have about 750 students go through that site annually because we hold a contract with Catholic Social Services of Miami Valley to provide the refugees educational opportunities and services. So it's not just English as a second language or English speakers of other languages, because many of our students have multiple languages that they bring to us, but it's also, again, transitioning. So with a lot of these retirees that we were seeing that were coming from other countries, they wanted to engage in the community. They needed to learn better English to do that, but we were able to find them a lot of volunteer opportunities, to provide them not only something that was fulfilling and engaging, also their English. Anytime we put one of our students into the workplace, their English always improves substantially, probably better than just remaining in a classroom. But so that's a little bit about Aspire. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a deeper dive. As I mentioned, people think of us as the folks that offer free GED classes. So there are other opportunities for students in the state of Ohio to receive what we call their high school equivalents. The GED is one option. There are a couple of other tests that we no longer, we don't use. One was called HiSET, one was called Penn Foster. Those are other options for students. But I'm going to talk to you about another program here in a minute. There's a flyer, on your table for the adult diploma program, but I'm going to go in depth on that. So I actually had this flyer designed so that when I was meeting with somebody in the community, I could organize my thoughts a little bit. So here it is on a flyer. I already said free, transitions, proximity. You'll see on another slide that we have about 20 different locations. Those locations shift over time, just depending on where our students are, what their needs are, and guidance. Everybody in our program, every single one of us, make for sure that we're working with students to transition them. So I mentioned that we have a GED, adult diploma. There's also a program in the state, and I'm not going to go in depth with it, other than give you a little elevator speech about it now. If you ever talk to somebody, and I should also take one step back. Professionally, you may run into folks that need our services. Personally, you may know a neighbor, a friend, a family member that needs our services. So however you take this information away with you today, I'm appreciative. So you might be thinking, why do I need to know about this? I'm an aeronautical engineer. What am I going to do with this information? So if you take it back to your church or you take it back to the community center, and that's really what the flyers on your table are for. There's volunteer flyers. If you're interested in volunteering and you want to be fulfilled, our program can help you with that. But also there's a flyer for somebody that you can take these to even your local Panera and post it on their community board, or what have you. But there's one for English speakers of other languages, one to kind of draw students in if they think they need a GED, and then one about adult diploma. So the 22 plus program, let's say that my junior year or senior year, I stopped out of college. Let's say I was expecting a baby and I just wasn't going to be able to complete my diploma. In the state of Ohio, and for our program in particular, we note that if a student's only 4 or 5 credits shy of completing their diploma, a student can have their transcripts reviewed by the state of Ohio. They will say these 3 classes or 5 classes are your deficiencies. And then those students come to us, they're in a classroom space, and I shouldn't say unfortunately, but all the classes they're gonna take, the coursework is all done online, but we as instructors are in those classrooms to make for sure that if students are needing assistance, they can come to some of our readiness classes so we can help prepare them, because maybe they've been out of the classroom for 5, 10, 15, 25 years. So they just need a little boost. But that's what the 22+ recovery program is. When they complete those classes successfully, they're then automatically awarded a diploma from the community in which they live in. So they may not have gone to high school in that community, they may have gone to high school in a different community, but the high school diploma comes from the community in which they currently live. So I mentioned the ESOL. I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit. So another bucket is our skilled trades and workforce or workplace education. So we often have students that already have a diploma or already have a degree, and they come to us for upskilling. And so we have courses, and you'll see a little bit more too: construction, culinary, hospitality, manufacturing. So we have some courses in which students, in some of those classes, students can have a diploma or they don't have to have a diploma, and they can come to us for additional training. And then because of the work that we do, we help them find employment. So, also, we can go into a workplace, so we're getting this more often now. Sometimes it's geared towards a population where maybe it's some folks where English, again, is not their first language. Or, like right now, the request is they have a group of people that just need some additional technology skills. And so that's something else that we can take into the workplace for current employees. And again, it's free. And obviously we work with the employers, work with I say students, but their employee schedules and what have you. And then bridges and prep. So think about this. I've been out of school for 15 years. I have my diploma. Maybe I even have an associate's degree, but I have to take a placement test for whatever reason. So maybe I'm going to go back to school and there's some sort of placement test. Students can come to us and brush up on those skills, and then they can go take that placement test. So again, it's free. I'll just quit saying free. Maybe not. So a lot of this is what I've already discussed, but to go back to this, the IET stands for Individualized Educational Training. So you can see we had an industrial sewing class. So what we did is we provide the classroom. Think of it as vocabulary, the math that may be involved in sewing, and we worked with local employers in the Dayton area to help our students get jobs. So basically those students were really fairly employable. We would hopefully have an interview. We'd already worked with the employer. There would be an interview in place as long as the student was a good match for that company. So English for environmental sciences, food handler, the construction basics, culinary hospitality. We had a combo course at one point, and then I mentioned the manufacturing associate. Let me see if there's anything I haven't mentioned. Okay, good. So the other thing, there are many Aspire programs throughout the state of Ohio. Our program is one of the largest. And I say one of the largest is because our program and the program through Cuyahoga Community College, we bounce back and forth as the largest. We will serve about 2,000 students in our program annually. So I think last year, the exact number was like 1,856. So it's a lot. And that also tells you that with Cuyahoga being as large as it is, and we're only serving Montgomery, Greene, and Preble County, it reminds me of the need that our community really has, and we're there to serve them. Morning, afternoon, and evening classes, our class sizes are intimate. Our teaching staff is about 75 people. So we probably have about 55 active instructors. And then we have about 20 substitutes that we need to. Our program actually starts July 1, runs through June 30th. We have a couple of sites that'll take summers off, but for the most part, we teach all year round. And we run off of volunteers. When I worked at St. John, we had 2 paid people on staff in the office and 2 teachers. We run classes there 5 days a week with 5 different levels of English. So we had added what we called like a basic class where it's pre-literacy. So we see a lot of our folks that are coming because we hold a contract to receive refugees. Many of the refugees are coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Some of them have never picked up a pencil. They maybe don't even have a written language in their language. They only speak their language. And so those created some new challenges. But, so we added a basic level. So we have 5 levels, 5 days a week. That's a lot. And we use all volunteers other than 2 people. So we need you, or share with people. If you hear of somebody that's looking for something very fulfilling, they don't have to do it every day. If they're looking to do it 1 day a week, that's fine by us. And we provide training for volunteers as well. So some of these are going to be pretty familiar to you. I heard One Bistro. And One Bistro, we had a great relationship with One Bistro with our culinary program. I think it only stopped because COVID happened, and then it hasn't been something. We've been very busy right now at the Job Center off of Edmond C. Moses and Dayton with culinary. We also actually have a culinary class that's geared towards the ESOL population. And that's at the Dream Center down in Dayton. But you can see we're at Emerge in Greene County. OMJ, of course, in Xenia. Are we forgetting anything? And nearby, Abiding Christ Lutheran. Okay, I want to share a little bit with you when it comes to the adult diploma program. I team, like, this is the most marketable program. It's fun to share. So students can come to us, they have to be 18 years or older and not have a diploma. They would select one of these skilled trades. So you can see it's STNA, HVAC, welding, phlebotomy, electrical, dental assistant, culinary operations, RISE-UP, which is going to be geared towards customer service, and then hospitality and tourism management. So they choose a program. They do have to have a certain score to get into that program. If a student doesn't have that score, that's okay. They come back to Aspire, even though this is under us, we make them an Aspire student. We give them those readiness skills, the basic math, basic English, whatever it may be. We help them get that score high enough to get into their skilled trade. Then they take that skilled trade course. And once they complete whatever certification is necessary for it, they're automatically awarded their high school diploma. And then to go back to what I was talking about earlier, all of our job is to help our students transition. Even though all of our teachers can, I would tell you that teachers of the skilled trades are the best fit to find those students employment. So they really kill 3 birds with 1 stone. They get their high school diploma after they earn that skilled trade, and then they also find employment if that's their goal in that area. Sometimes they just want the diploma to just, maybe it'll give them a boost, you know, an increase in wage at their current job. Maybe they, oh boy, I'm rolling now, aren't I?
No.
Okay. So I get it. I'll talk faster or I'll move along.
I'm blocking your.
Oh, okay. I told you should not give me a microphone either. But so that's a little bit about adult diploma program. Megan provided us some numbers, our coordinator. So last year we had 264. You may be like, so that's super great. Well, a lot of times people start with us and then maybe they want to have a GED route, or we'll have some start with us in GED. Better program. And honestly, sometimes it takes some of the students a little bit longer. Remember, I said they have to get a certain score before they can get into their skilled trade. Some of those students need a little bit more time in our basic education classes to get the score necessary. So they may end up as graduates in our next year. I will tell you, this school year started with a bang. So we already had 54 students enrolled. Amazing. So I will say, another thing I'm really proud of is, just like I mentioned with that 22 plus, and I'll mention it with this RISE-UP, the RISE-UP curriculum is all online. It is not just to put somebody online and say, have at it. Our style is, we still are going to have you come in to a classroom. You'll have an instructor there. We're going to teach you a little bit first, and then we'll put you into the work. And that's honestly how that Certified Manufacturing Associate program went. We went with, well, all of us that were participating in the grant went with Tooling U. It has online platforms, many are for manufacturing or what have you. I took a module at the time I was working in the College of Science and Engineering at Wright State. So thank goodness that I had some language background. That module's hard. So it's really nice that we have somebody in the classroom, again, go over the math, the basic English or language that's going to be used to familiarize students. And honestly, to help build their confidence, right? So we did add a couple of new trades this last year. We'll continue to add. I talked a lot about transitioning already. Something new that we went to this year, again, COVID blew everything up, so we're just kind of lacing up our shoes and kind of tightening them back up a little bit tighter this year so we can really hit the ground running again. But we're going back to managed enrollment. So if you ever know of somebody that's interested in our program, the only thing is that we have to, our teachers are still having a hard time like soaking this up. Think of it as like quarters, if that's how you would college, or semesters. We have certain start times and dates for students. So it used to be they could basically, if they wanted to start on a Tuesday and they came into one of our sites, we start them on a Tuesday. So this is a really nice because it actually allows our team to manage the students' enrollment. Plus they'll start with a cohort. They may end with that cohort or they may roll into the next, just like roll from one semester to the next semester. Once you've gone through the orientation registration process, that's exactly how our students operate. So we do a lot of community outreach. It's again a pleasure for me to be here because I hope that if I talk to one person, there's something so exciting. I already talked to Beth about, I overheard her saying something, so I hope that's a connection that at least will help me. And now many of you will know about our program, but it's very important that we do outreach and have these kind of conversations because our grant does not allow us to pay for marketing other than the flyers, and that's pretty much it. And so you'll never see a billboard or anything that has our information on it. So here I am, and thank you. But I would say we have a ton of community outreach opportunities, especially for the English speakers of other languages population or the new Americans. Part that's been something that's been huge in my heart really since I moved to the Dayton area about 14 years ago. And so we've participated heavily in World Refugee Day. When I was at St. John's, we actually hosted right there on site because they've been hosting it at another location. And I said, we actually host all the refugees every day, Monday through Friday. So if you want to just have a celebration here, that would work splendidly. So that's what we've done. We do a lot of work and there are a lot of offerings through the Dayton Metro Library. We are always looking for more opportunities to get out and get the word out. So this is just, I threw in some pictures from some of our other programs. Our first cohort of our Certified Manufacturing Associate program started about 18 months ago, maybe. And so we had 3 or 4 cohorts go through. We're changing it up a little bit and we'll see more in the near future. Construction basics, we had a construction class. But again, these include certifications. I'm not going to read all of the certifications, but these are important for our students because it makes them highly marketable. And again, they can have a diploma or not. So some more of our partnerships. We've had a really good relationship with the Dayton Police Department also for many years. So what we learned is that a lot of our students at St. John's, when they're coming from another country, the way that they interact with the police there is very different than how we interact with police here. So things that we were telling them, like, don't get out of your car when you get pulled over. That is a big no-no, right? Don't bribe them. Believe it or not, that's huge. So, I mean, there's some big issues. So they come frequently and talk to our students. These are some delegates from last year. Anyway, just some fun pictures because I want you to see our students and what we're doing, right? Employer connection. So that's part of my job. We have this woman right here, Lisa Witt. She's fantastic. She works for us, but her other job is she does career services at the University of Dayton School of Engineering. So she's been an outstanding fit in our program, especially when we started up the manufacturing program. And her background, she's actually a retired military and she's an engineer. And so like I could not have molded a better person. And she's delightful. And she also sits on our Welcome Dayton Education Subcommittee. But we helped to plan the New American Employer Roundtables. I'm really proud of these. That's actually how I got here. So I met Chris at one, and that's how this invitation relationship came to be. But I'm going to give you a QR code. Let me tell you a little bit about this. So a few years ago, if you're not familiar with Welcome Dayton, Chris mentioned it to you. Welcome Dayton really is an organization or initiative through the city of Dayton to make for sure that they are a welcoming community. And given the number of new Americans saying that's That's very important to the city, so they have acquired that. But a few years ago, when I was sitting on the education subcommittee, we kept hearing from employers that they needed more people, they needed more people, and they still need people, so it's like, how do we come to make this work? So between Catholic Social Services, between Miami Valley CTC Aspire, the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce, trying to remember all of our partners. I'll remember in just a moment. Actually, let's go back. There they are. Runner Literacy Center has come on board, and I guess I think I did mention them all, so that's it. But what we do is, so we did kind of surveyed our employers and just found out what they wanted to hear. Legality. Everybody wants to hear, like, what's really like to hire a new American, or what's it like to hire an international student? People get very nervous. Am I gonna have to sponsor that student? Or what if their English is really low? And then just all the barriers that people may have. So we always have a session on legality. But what we heard from the employers is, we want to know how to recruit. We want to know how to onboard them, and we know what it's going to take to retain these folks. And so we actually presented that series a few years ago. COVID hit, was talking to commissioners and said, I think now's the time again for us to do something like this. So we surveyed people, and we asked them, what do you want to hear if you're going to hire new Americans? And they said, we want to know how to recruit them. We want to know where to find them. We want to know how to onboard them, and we want to know how to retain them. Like, that sounds so familiar. I got the series for you. So anyway, so we went ahead and drummed it up and did last year. And then this year we're doing a two-part series. It included a job fair, I should mention too. Now, do you want to hear the sad part of that job fair? Out of all the employers, and we use Dayton Chamber for our outreach, wasn't on them. And then all of us, because we were employers, had massive outreach. We had 6 employers sign up for the job fair and 4 show up. And we had over 100, because it was open to the community. There were like over 100 students that had come. Yeah, that was honestly a huge gut punch, and would not have expected it, because we'd done the job fair the previous years that we've done this series, and had great luck. So I know everybody's very busy, and that was we did this survey afterward to a lot of employers, like, hey, right, why did you not want to participate? In a lot of them, the staffing issues. They don't have the staff to even send people out to do the outreach, but they need employees. And so that was what we heard resoundingly. So we're not doing the job fair this year because it was really hard to turn away 125 folks, right? And it wasn't that we were turning away, but you only had 4 agencies there, and that made it really tricky. So anyway, if this is something that might appeal to you, there's always a big session on legality. And then we'll have an employer panel. The employees that are going to be on the panel are already folks that are hiring new Americans. The other thing, though, is of the attendees that come, 5 to 10% in that room. We usually have an audience or a group, maybe about 60 folks. So only 5 to 10% of those agencies are actually hiring Americans. So what this tells you is there's a huge market in the area. And maybe some of these folks live in Dayton, but if you don't know, a lot of the new American population, they're pushing out into other communities, and they'll continue to, because as we get them in Dayton, they don't necessarily need to stay in Dayton. That's their home initially, but they'll move out into other communities. But if you think you're interested, it's free. The chamber sponsors it along with the rest of us. And I think the networking that happens at the very end is incredibly valuable. The panelists, I don't want to share exactly where they're from, but they're great companies. We're still solidifying one. We're working on somebody from Trader Joe's, which I'm excited about, because I think Trader Joe's is like the bomb, right? And everybody that works there is so pleasant. So I'm really hoping that will work out. But the whole premise is really for companies to really be able to talk to one another and find out, like, what does it look like for you as you're hiring new Americans, but then also what's some of the legality involved. And I think it's just a lot of people trying to get past their fear, like not fear, but just what the extra paperwork gonna look like. Am I gonna need to sponsor this person? Like, no, you don't. As long as they're work authorized, you're ready to rock and roll. And that's the great thing. And the easy thing about when refugees come, and the students that came last year for the United for Ukraine, they're ready to rock and roll. They're work authorized. And a lot of the Ukrainians that we had in our program that were taking classes didn't stay very long, because they already had diplomas, they had degrees, they were work authorized and started work. So hopefully they're learning English on the side now, or maybe in the workforce. So volunteers, again, we always need volunteers, and it's not something you're interested in, I'm not here to do that, but if anybody ever says, you know, I'm kind of looking for something, I want an evening time, I'd really like to work with this population or that population, or if they have some skill, tell them about our program. And like I said, given the various locations, dates and times, I hope it'd be a good fit. I'll be honest, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention adult ed at CTC. So I should also say, so Miami Valley Career Technology Center is in Englewood, Clayton, Ohio. And I say it like that because Englewood's one side of the road where the high school is, and Clayton's the other side of the road where our office is as well, where there's an office space for us. So anyway, although we are up there, Miami Valley CTC is our fiscal agent for our Aspire grant. So, but we always want to talk about what our adult ed program is offering. So I would tell you there are short-term programs. You'll notice that there's some crossover from the programs that our students can get diplomas in, but there's also additional programs that they can do. So for the short-term programs, there were some really substantial grants that were offered this year. So students weren't paying much out of pocket at all. Secondly, customized training. If you're an employer, and again, you want somebody to come into your workforce to offer, excuse me, maybe it's blueprint reading, soft skills, something along those lines, they are welcome and able to do that too. Oh, sorry about my picture there. And then also, customized training. So even making it more specific to the skilled trade, whether it's a deficiency or it's something that as a company, they don't necessarily have the time to train on, or they're getting something new in-house, like maybe there's a new piece of equipment and they need training on that. That's something that we can come in to do, and they don't necessarily have to worry about that as the company. They just reach out to CTC. Okay. So, do you have questions for me?
Yes, let's see. The reason some of them pick the GED program over the diploma program.
I think it first comes to just marketing. People have heard of the GED and they just haven't maybe heard of adult diploma. I can tell you that we make sure that everybody that calls in or walks through the door, make sure that they hear all three options for a student. And oftentimes students that are a little bit more turned on by the adult diploma program. Just because it has so much to offer. The GED is just traditional, right? And it's math, science, social studies. So I think the students can have an idea as to what they're getting into, and that's kind of appealing. Or maybe they already have a job, or they just think, oh, I don't need that skill, and they stick with GED. I think honestly, just been around longer, and right now that's what's in their head. They've heard it. Yes.
For the adult education programs, did I hear you say that one of their, they don't have a high school diploma?
No, for adult ed, it does not. For the adult ed, it kind of depends on funding source, but no. Well, for the GED, obviously, like a student, right? But yeah, no, let me. So, yeah, no.
So if you had a high school diploma, but it was 20, 30 years ago, whatever, you could still.
You can come into one of our. So for our Aspire program, if you want to come in and take culinary, you can absolutely do that. Population that I often share with people to help us understand it. We work a lot, so we're in Monday in the Correctional Institute as well. We do a lot of work in the jail, and some of the conversation there back to GED, like they'll have somebody that's working on the GED in jail, and we'll say, okay, when you're done, you can come out to one of our sites and complete your type of thing too. But because we work with many of the folks in jail, we assume that they don't have a high school diploma. Average, do not assume, because there are a lot of folks in there that already have a 2-year and 4-year degree, but maybe they've been in for a few years and they're getting, and they need a new skill. And so we do work a lot with those that already have a diploma or degree. Same thing, honestly, with a lot of the new Americans that we are working with. Some have PhDs, some have masters, some are vets and doctors, and then they come to a new country, and that trade, that skill still comes with them. The trade, and the certifications, of course, do not. So, upskilling. I will tell you another I often get is, how long does it take a student to get the GED? And that is so dependent upon the student. When did they stop out of school? What kind of student were they? Did they have learning disabilities? All those types of things. The nice thing is they can stay with our program for as long as they need to get that assistance, and we can take it bye. And same thing with English. it can take a bit. Yes, sir.
Did you mention, you work with some Ukrainians? The reason I ask, I know a man up in New Hampshire who came over and within, I'm guessing, 6 months. Was fully checked out and had a job up there in a small manufacturing plant. And I guess, like you said, it all depends on what they bring with them in terms of skills.
It does. And for the folks that came last year on that United for Ukraine, they were kind of treated as, by refugees, like by the United States. So once they were work authorized, if they had any kind of training, they were easily employable and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, once they find family too in the United States, sometimes they don't stay in very long. They have family in Vegas or California, and they're out of date as soon as they can find those connections. So just so you know, I left business cards on the table, I left pens on the table, I left some flyers. Take what you want. If you don't take it, you're not gonna offend me. I'm just gonna recycle it and take it and use it in another presentation. If you'd ever like for me to come to do anything or talk to folks, please let me know. And I really appreciate your time and your attention, and I hope you take this and just keep it in mind, but also pass it on. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. I can tell she's a teacher because she's walking up and down the aisles, making sure everybody's awake. As always, we do a book dedication, and she's already signed us, and it's called When You Grow Up. I think it's kind of appropriate for what she does. Thank you, Beth. That was good. So, that will be in the library, and people can check it out. Next week's meeting, we have Larry Hanskin, Don Donner. You all remember Don Donner. Greeters next week are Bob Kochoy, and we need one more. So we'd like to volunteer to be a greeter next week. David. Thank you. We're just gonna make him an official greeter. As always, keep your eye on upcoming programs, you do Beavercreek.com, Facebook, and my email, so we'll put it out. Okay, anything else we go to the club? See nothing, if you all stand, please. Please put the relations. Yeah, that shows them. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Yeah, that have a great one. Enjoy your liberty.
Nice. Oh. Let's see, I'm there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure not, right? That's where. Oh, here. Oh, no. Something. Oh, yeah. Got a version of this one, something. Cheers.
1, 2, 3.
It's fine. Wow. Wow. Awesome.
So what happened to the job fair? Like, as far as what you said.
I mean, they weren't raising their hand anyway. Everybody was me with it's just like at the employer roundhouse. Everybody was coming to their round tables, but no one was showing up for the job fair. And those did one register card. Wow. So I don't know. We do hear a lot that when like companies so short staffed, they truly did not have the manpower to send somebody out. But it's very work. Think about it, like that's 125 to include the students that we already had, like, because we ran a basement out of one of our houses. good 125 community members that are like this for event. And that. Well, it was really hard to. But. Try. Yep. So I can take fear out of it for them.
One second.
Oh, yeah.
Construction company.
Yeah.
So. But anything else, let me say something.
Yeah, right.
Are you available next Friday? People from Sherry's. After Rotary, have to go right after Rotary. My name's Karen Pitt. I'm Rep Langley, so actually you have to get in.
Okay. Okay.
I'm town council, good council to answer your stuff. I've had one client, it's like, I'm saying, needy and don't tell me, it's my biggest job. I have anxiety in my fault, we are gonna get you figured.
Absolutely. And you saw some of the location, well, and it's on one of the flyers too. And so if any of those locations work, let's happen. And there's programs further south, like in Warren County and Butler County, for some reason, that would be a better fit.
Right,
That's okay.
right, if they have programs, you.
Yeah, right.
Right, so you know, to the base.
Yeah, I think one of our friends, she's the husband. Yeah. That is, I met her, she's so sweet.
Like,
Oh,
I just said her thing and I'm like, I think this is about something.
talk about in her. It's all. Oh, thank you. Well, that's nice of you.
So I'm gonna put them out table now. So people can, they don't. Definitely, won't get into another program, they might know somebody.
I can send you, my address. You can, and we have flyers as it comes specific to like a flighting mechanic for the license. Thank you. But I would also have to send you, like, 30 here.
My first. By. Yeah, let's keep on getting. Right, yeah. No, I had a client. Sure, huh? How long is the monies? I'm going to tell my phone, so I spent some under it for having work. I'm for. It's first for year, we've got one who's thinking about. But years. Wouldn't spend about the cook order first month. No. Then I'm trying to tell you. It's okay.
Really?
It's just budget.
Right.
Even like five, I say goodbye, the things, and then you go. Yep. It's just, Okay, honey. He's in charge of the dictionaries and coloring books that flow back.
Oh, I love that.
Have you heard about that?
No.
So,
I heard him ask about dictionaries.
yeah, the second grade gets either a reader or like a copy shop.
Yeah.
Or it used to be a color, now it's been bad. And then third grade gets favorite reading dictionary. This this might be the campus now. Well, we love people who do that. So now they're right, how many kids friends can give you? And I'm like, this is not gonna happen.
Right.
So when somebody doesn't do what they're supposed to do,
Yeah.
we're gonna go do it.
Yeah.
Money did all right. Just keep on that
Well,
right.
that's a good question. Wait, this has literally been the one thing I look for this week.
It's going downhill, so we apologize.
I
Of us don't even eat.
well, you need to, but
I'll get packs it up because
okay, very good.
dessert as I walk. Because I don't go home and I'll forget to eat.
What the roast?
Yeah, we got the game tonight.
Oh, but
And like, I told him, I was thinking about starting maybe. Michael's.
oh yeah.
One time.
Really?
And then my husband's off to the girl. He has 5 jobs. I can't believe you have to do it.
That's great.
his guitar player, that's just murdered. In fact,
The spots go.
oh gosh, do they know who
Just put it back there.
TV situation?
Okay.
Drugs. Institutional drugs, and the area gets it free. On here. Okay, it's been the heroin capital of the United States, Middletown.